Well, it's called the Holy Land. And the Holy Land is a melting pot of faith, politics, and ideology. In a setting that combines biblical history and present-day turmoil, this chaotic atmosphere can make life difficult for Christians who often get caught in the middle. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell has that story.
Pastor Stephen Corey embraces his task of guiding the faithful through what some may call a minefield of society. A volatile mix of ideology, history, and family in a land where Christians make up a fraction of the population, surrounded by Jewish and Muslim majorities.
Living in this divided land as a Christian Arab has challenged me to tear down barriers.
Born in Bethlehem, Corey is president of Holy Land Missions. For 30 years, it has reached out to Arab Christians struggling in times of poverty and war. Unlike most Arab ministries, HLM is based on what they call full covenant theology, meaning the belief that God's covenants, including to Israel, are eternal.
I remember some years ago going to Bethlehem. There was a guy named Elias Fresh who was mayor. He's a Christian, and Bethlehem was essentially a Christian town. And the last time I was there, Yasser Arafat had his headquarters in Bethlehem, and it was an armed camp. Now, Stephen Corey is founder of what's called the Holy Land Missions, and he's pastor of Jerusalem's Baptist Church. And Stephen's here with us. Stephen, you're an Israeli Arab Christian. You grew up in Bethlehem, and you've seen a whole bunch of warriors in that holy city, haven't you?
We sure have. I was born in Jerusalem, as you mentioned. I grew up seeing a lot of bloodshed, a lot of war over the years. And the only hope that I saw come to people's hearts is the hope of Jesus Christ.
What has happened under the Palestinian Authority? Have they persecuted Christians? Can you give me some examples of what they've done?
Well, in 2010, the PA deemed our ministry, which is the evangelical, born-again church community, as illegitimate church. So they defranchised us and called us illegitimate in 2010, meaning not accepting marriage certificates, any birth certificates, or what be it, is solely on the fact that we have different beliefs than the other Christians within the community. They've come a long way. They've, thanks for the pressures of international governments, so they've come a long way than what they were, but they can still do a lot more. At one point, Bethlehem was 85% Christian and 15% Muslim and other, and now the pendulum is completely swapped. When you talk about Bethlehem and surrounding villages and towns, there's only about 15 to 16% Christian, all denominations lumped together, and less.
Well, what's happened? Has the Palestinian Authority actually driven the Christians out? Have they arrested them? What have they done?
Well, it's lack of jobs, lack of economy, of course, pressures as well from some of the fanatics within the community that have pressured Christian communities out and so forth. And it's interesting because what it comes down to it is, what is the answer? That is the question. And what we've realized, my father who started the church in Bethlehem, what we've realized today, Brother Pat, is that we have to sit down and build bridges in the context of building bridges on truth. How do you do that? Well, we showed the PA that when you work with the other side in honesty, in integrity, in trust, when you do that, it actually builds a society. So recently, we've been able to meet with many world leaders and to tell them that the answer for the Arab solution isn't a political answer. That's it's the outcome of it is politics, but it stems from the heart issue and building relationships.
I remember talking to your father, and he indicated that when Christians or others went to Mecca on the Hajj, that they came back with a bad spirit. Something happened to them. Could you amplify that? Or you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but it's, there is, they say get overcome by emotional spirit. That's what they say. But of course we know it's the good versus the evil within their spirit. It's the God nature within them fighting the evil nature that exists within mankind. That's why we always have been asked this on media and others. What's the answer? The answer is Jesus. That's the answer. It's there's no more simple way to put it, and that's why Jerusalem is such a big part in this Middle Eastern process. It's there is a movement today to eradicate Christianity from the Arab part of Jerusalem, and they've called us as the only ones standing in their way from eradicating Christianity. And it's because we're very strong in sharing the gospel. We're very strong in bringing Jews and Arabs together, Muslim Arabs, Christian Arabs, and Jewish people, Orthodox Jews together, to sit down. It's not an interfaith, but sitting down to sort of humanize each other, to understand that you have a different belief system, you have different convictions, but that does not make you any lesser human being than I am. And nor does it give me the right to attack you, hurt you, or kill you because you have different views. And that's led us to today having the honor to speak in many Jewish synagogues. I, as an Arab, speak in a synagogue, but talk about Jesus. And by invitation.
Well, now, what's like for you, for a Palestinian, Arab, Christian living in Bethlehem, living in Jerusalem? What's it like?
You know, Brother Pat, I've seen a shift in so many dynamics, from politics, from faith, from dwindling numbers and statistics. It's an up and down wave. We've seen suffering, we've seen persecution over the years. Sometimes it's instigated by government. Sometimes the government steps in to help. If things have come a long way, are things better in the Palestinian communities than they were? 100% they're better. Why? That's because of Christians around the world praying for the peace of Jerusalem and the land. Christians around the world, folks like yourself, bringing stories out of there to expose to the world what's happening. And of course, pressures from international leaders and Christian leaders and world leaders on the Israeli-Palestinian leadership to create an atmosphere that's safer for Christianity. That's why it all goes back to Jerusalem. That's why we are focused much on creating a center in Jerusalem.
I was reading in Isaiah today where he says, "Give the Lord no rest until he makes Jerusalem a praise in the midst of all the nations."
That's right. That's right.
I mean, don't give him any rest. You keep praying constantly for Jerusalem to be...
you keep knocking. And that's why I want to tell you and others who have been praying for Jerusalem, don't give up on Jerusalem. When you pray for the Jews, we have to pray for the Arabs. There is enough room in the heart of the Father to love the Jews, to love the Arabs. We see ourselves, Brother Pat, as an Arab Christian community, evangelical, born again. We see ourselves as a big part of helping bringing peace to Jerusalem. How? By bringing people to the scriptures, that the God that we serve is a God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is a biblical fact, and that's why we have to invest in Jerusalem from a biblical perspective and from a covenant perspective as well.
Stephen, thank you so much for being. May the Lord bless you.
Thank you, Brother Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Curry, Holy Land Mission, a place where we should pray. But that's what it says. Don't give God any rest. Not only yourself, don't stop praying for the peace of Jerusalem.